welcome back to the 8th session of the Framer Playground course. My name is Meg, and today we're going to talk about how to drag to dismiss a modal, how to use sequence so that when we're dismissing, the UI is not going to go wrong. And then finally, I'm going to show you how to build a code component that plays a video. Let's go back to our code and find our course screen file. I'm going to go back to my preview and then resize this window. And also, I want to show you that on this screen, I want to be able to dismiss this modal by using gesture instead of clicking. So in the previous session, we learned how to listen to the Y position. And so we're going to do exactly the same thing, but instead of using onDrag, we're going to use onDragEnd. So onDragEnd is equal to, and then create a function inside it, parentheses, curly braces. The difference between onDrag and onDragEnd is that the first one, you always listen to it while you swipe. And then onDragEnd, you will only listen to it when you release. So I release and then it's going to give me a value. So one thing we can do here is I can comment this. So command /, so I can stop listening to these values. And instead I'm going to do console log and then get the Y position again using y.get and then parentheses. So you'll check in the console, and as you drag, you can see that I'm not listening to any of those values, but when I release and then boom, I get my value. So that's onDragEnd. What we'd like to do is when we release at a certain position, then it's going to dismiss the modal. So in this modal, when we release at this position, let's say, it's going to dismiss it. Otherwise, if you go up or down a little bit, then it's not going to dismiss it. So what we can do is do a simple condition. It's going to be if y.get parentheses is more than 30, then curly braces, we're going to call the animate function. So I click here and this is not going to do anything. As you can see, it did not exceed 30. But if I go over, then boom, it goes back. But the thing is, we're using cycle, and therefore, even when we're in this mode and I go down here, it's going to do that cycle animation. So what we're going to learn now is to turn the cycle animation into controls so that we can call the animation whenever we want, and we can even use sequence. Alright, so the first thing I'm gonna do is to import use animation. And then I'm going to call the controls right at the first line of code. Const controls is equal to use animation parentheses. Then let's take a look at the use cycle. It's a bit big, right? There's a lot of stuff going on here. So what we can do is the values of these curly braces and in between, we can put that into a const if we want to. So let's say const initial is equal to, and then we can put everything, including the curly braces, cut that, so command X, and put that right here. So now that we have this, we can put initial here instead. And then let's do the same for the open state. So const open is equal to, and I'm going to copy and paste this right for open, and then put open right here. So if I save, it's going to format everything for me, and then I have my initial and open states that I can reuse some other places. So now I don't need the use cycle anymore. So I'm gonna comment this. And when I comment, I can see where it's gonna go wrong. So basically, I'm going to replace the animation properties into the controls that I just created. So I'm going to use controls instead. And like this, I can call my open or close animation whenever I want. So in this case, on tab, instead of using animate, I'm going to create a function. So function parentheses curly braces, and then I'm going to call controls start, so start the animation, and then call to this state open, like this. Then for dismiss, I'm going to replace this by controls start, and then back to initial. Awesome. Now the only problem that I have is that because the cycle was managing the initial state for me, I didn't have to set that. But since I'm using controls and it does not have initial state somewhere, I have to set that as a property. So initial is equal to curly braces initial. Now what this is going to do is simply setting the initial state by using the store properties inside my constant call initial. Great, so now let's test this. I'm going to click here and it opens it. When I try to dismiss it, at this point it doesn't work, but at this point it will dismiss. And if I try to dismiss from here, it's not gonna work because it's only calling to the initial position always. So even if I'm doing this, it's just saying, okay, let's go back to the initial position. So it's not doing anything because it's already at the initial position. Perfect, now I want to show you how to create a video component that's going to play a real video. So I'm gonna click on new, create a video component, so video, and then here delete the code, and then import star as React from React. And then I'm gonna create my component, export function video, parentheses, curly braces, return, and we're going to use the video tag. That's a simple HTML tag. Now, right now we don't have anything. I'm gonna set the default props so that it has a custom size by default. I'm just gonna close the console because I don't need this anymore. So I'm gonna set video default props is equal to curly braces, set the width 375, height 250. Let's apply those props by putting props right here, and then I'm gonna set width is equal to props.width, height is equal to props.height. Now for the video tag, I can set the source, so src, to the file. And I'm gonna put this video link. Feel free to use any video that you want. In this case, this is simply the video for design code. You can also enable the controls for the video. So controls, and that's it. So now you have a play button on top of it. So let's import that video into the course screen. So I'm gonna go at the very top, and here I'm importing a code component. So it's gonna be import curly braces video from quotes dot / video. So let's bring that video into the screen. We're gonna scroll down a little bit, and right after the play icon, I'm gonna set a frame and end frame and put the video inside it. Now you can see that the video is appearing, but what we want to do is make the background to black. So I'm gonna set the frame background to black. And so we have this is our video, and when we press on everything, it should open and we should be able to dismiss. Now the problem is we actually want to hide the video when we're not in the modal screen. So we're gonna need to use some animation for the video as well. So let's go ahead and create a new set of animations for the video. So const video controls is equal to use animation, parentheses. Then I'm going to need to set the initial properties for the animation. So const video initial is equal to curly braces and then put opacity to 0. Const video open is equal to curly braces, opacity to 1. And we can apply the animation now on the frame. So animate is equal to video controls and then set the initial position to video initial. Save this, it should format your code. And now by default, the video is at 0 opacity. We just need to apply the animation on an event. So for example, here, we're gonna say video controls dot start video open, and on drag end, we're going to do the same for the video. So video controls dot start video initial. Now we click here, it shows the video, we dismiss, and the video disappears. But the animation is not very nice. So what you can do is to do sequence animation. So during the untap event, we're going to open this first and wait for this to happen first, and then the video appears. It's gonna have a much nicer animation than this. So to do that, we have to transform this into an asynchronous function. So we're gonna add async, and then we're gonna do a wait in front of the first animation. Now you're gonna see that when I press here, it does a much nicer transition. And I'm gonna do the same for the undrag end. So async, but here we want the video to disappear first before we dismiss the modal. So we're gonna have to put the video control before. So I'm gonna cut Command X and paste. And then in front of the video controls, I'm going to add a wait like this. So now the animation should be a lot nicer. So I click here and I dismiss, and we have this really smooth animation. So that's it for today. We learned how to create this beautiful animated transition, and we learned how to manage our states and how to turn use cycle into use animation. We also learned how to store those properties and put that into initial. And then we learned how to control those animations in the correct order, in the correct sequence, using a sync and a wait. And on top of that, we learned how to create a video component. This video component is not even using anything from a Framer, so we can essentially use this as a production ready component. And we can go back here and we can even just drag those components that we created, such as the video, and it's working perfectly as a component. And we have also the core screen. So I'm gonna put it right here and put the video right here. And I can preview my work and it's beautiful. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. In the next one, we're gonna learn all about parallax effects, how to do a sticky header or sticky logo, and then we're gonna learn some really nice stagger animations on a landing page that's made for the web. I'll see you then.